A final rock and stone for the sonic architect of Deep Rock Galactic. Hi miners, today we gather to bid a heartfelt farewell to Troels Jorgensen, the sound designer of Deep Rock Galactic, who has decided to embark on a new chapter in his career. Troels was one of the first hires for Ghost Ship Games more than 6 years ago, and his mark on the game should not be underestimated. From the moment you step foot into Deep Rock Galactic's cavernous depths, you're immediately engulfed in a rich tapestry of sound that transports you to an alien world. This immersive soundscape is a result of Troels' meticulous craftsmanship as sound designer. Troels has truly breathed life into the game's vast underground environments, ingeniously combining natural cave acoustics with futuristic technology. The clinking of mining tools, echoing footsteps, and the distant sound of an approaching swarm of glyphids form a symphony of sound that adds a remarkable layer of immersion to the gameplay experience. Troels' ability to strike the perfect balance between atmospheric ambience and intense action sequences is nothing short of genius. Troels has furthermore masterfully produced the epic synth soundtrack that Surface Alpha has composed for DRG. The soundtrack carries an unmistakable signature, blending futuristic synths with soaring orchestral arrangements. Troels' keen understanding of the game's industrial sci-fi setting and the gameplay dynamic shines through in the production, as it seamlessly transitions from moments of tension and suspense to triumphant crescendos, making the gaming experience truly unforgettable. As a final salute from Troels, I present you with Journey of the Prospector. This track started as a simple idea, but I wanted to see if we could make a DRG song with banjo. The idea was to get some classic gold miner vibe going in a synth track. The sketch for this was left unused for a long time, but after Troels announced his departure from Ghost Ship, Troels and I plan to turn it into a song worthy of the soundtrack of DRG. A swan song from Troels, if you will. The track will be added to Volume 2 of the soundtrack on Steam in the coming days, Spotify later, and in-game as well with the release of Season 4. Hope you like it. Finally, let us express our deepest gratitude for the passion, dedication and artistry that Troels poured into Deep Rock Galactic. He has left an indelible impression on us at Ghost Ship Games and the countless players who have ventured into the depths of Hoxie's. Good luck in the future, Troels. I'm sure you'll make other games sound as awesome as DRG. And finally, my fellow dwarves, let's raise our pickaxes for Troels in a resounding rock and stone. With love, Mikkel Martin Pedersen, game director of DRG. As a final note, I would kindly ask you all to help me out. There are simply too many sound effects that stand out for me to mention them all in this blog post, so please help me out and let Troels know which sound effects you really like in the comment section below. Bulk detonator footsteps.
Game or
we could say whatever the... No, I don't actually want to swear for some reason. I don't know. I feel a weird responsibility to be respectful. I don't know why. It's not like he died. See, that's not very respectful to say something like that. Actually, it's not.
Yeah, I think like leaving is or moving on is the best way of going about it, because we have no idea in what context or any of it really. But yeah, he is moved on from Ghost Ship.
I really hope I pronounced his name correctly.
I would put millions of pounds that you didn't.
I said Troels. So, if that's wrong, then it's even worse than just being wrong. Because I called him Troels. Either way, this guy is the sound designer and sound engineer, which meant he also obviously did a lot of work on the music. Sophus was the composer for the music, and he hasn't been at Ghost Ship for even longer, though, has he? Right?
He was barely ever a part of it, wasn't he?
I guess that's how it goes. Yeah, he just did the soundtrack, or he did both soundtracks. Maybe, he probably wasn't there during, in between Volume 1 and 2 as well, I guess. He probably just made the soundtrack sort of freelance almost. But Troels was the sound engineer, which means he made all the music sound good, made it fit into the game, and also designed all of the sounds of Deep Rock Galactic. So I think it's very fair to say a fucking god.
Yeah, definitely one of the a person that is one of the main pillars of the game, right? Like the soundtrack and sound as a whole is why Deep Rock is as good as it is.
It's almost half the experience, and it's also way more important than that number even suggests. How important sound and music is to a game, and how important it is to Deep Rock because of how amazing it is. Both because it is very specifically, the music is fantastic, but so is the sound design is also absolutely ingenious at the same time. It is kind of weird that this guy is gone because he is absolutely instrumental to the way like DRG feels. And people, I hope people don't realize that based on what we get going forward. It's like, oh, this doesn't feel as right. I hope they find someone just as good, and I'm sure they will. They'll bully him into being just as good, basically.
Well, it obviously is a worry in that they're gonna have means there will be a new sound designer because they can't not have one, right?
Yeah, sound designer or slash sound engineer is absolutely like an essential part of like a dev team. It's not like the only. Well, I've actually it's not the only way to do it. It kind of is. I was just thinking about for Halo, like their composer Marty O'Donnell. He basically invented a job for himself where he didn't have to just be the composer. He invented the job in like the gaming industry. He invented the concept of a sound director, which basically made him the composer as well as the sound designer for like the entire franchise. So he just invented it. But obviously, it's not the same scenario at all. But out of this, every cloud has a silver lining, I guess. We get a new song at the same.
They haven't stated is being added to the game, right?
Yeah, they have. It is.
Is this? Has there been like a Reddit post that I haven't seen? Is this?
I told you before we started. I told you I read the post. I don't know how you knew about it.
I just
didn't see this.
On YouTube.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. I didn't though. And then all of a sudden, Tyler messaged me. He said, "Have you seen the song?" And I'm like, "What? Song?" And I thought, is it from Ghost Ship? It's probably like the arcade music or something, isn't it? And I have a look, and it's like, no, it's actually not the arcade music. It's a completely new song. But yeah, it has all of stuff in it, and it says here it will be in game as well with the release of season 4. It doesn't. Anyway, so yeah, the song itself, Journey of the Prospector. I assume you've listened to it.
Yeah,
I have. Really good, actually. Obviously, but like, there's something, and maybe it's because I don't think it's just because we haven't heard it before either. They obviously went in a different direction. Like the banjo, it's not an instrument they've used at all, so it has a very different flavor, like objectively, from the other songs, which kind of elevated it. Although they don't say what category it's in. I mean, I would assume ambient. I would assume ambient is most likely, but this could also, I would love it if this was in the Memorial Hall, because it almost sounded like that to me. Because it's definitely, I don't know what you're thinking, because it's definitely not a Swarm track. It's not a Swarm track.
It's too long for Swarm and the Extraction one. I feel like it could work in Extraction.
It could. Well, I was thinking Memorial Hall would be a fantastic one. Like, if they did that and ambient, I wouldn't mind both, because Memorial Hall because like
it already has one, which is only ever there.
Well, it's an alternate one, I guess. It's just more like ceremonious, I suppose, but it's also not really necessary. That might not be what he wanted anyway. I think it is an ambient track, but at the same time, it's definitely, if it is an ambient track, it's definitely better than most of them.
Yeah,
more pronounced.
When I saw the title, I was like, "Holy guacamole!" Before literally anything, I was like,
"Yeah, I thought you might."
Are they actually doing the enemy-based music? So like, I saw Prospector, and I'm like, "Oh, is this actually going to be the Prospector? It's going to have its own soundtrack, and there's going to be more." And then obviously I read, and I'm like, "Okay," but yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's alright. I don't know where it's going to come into. I wonder if they've known that this was in this. Like, he was leaving for a while, right? Because I imagine they've been working on this song for a while, and they've always been saying that no, they're not going to add any more music, or it's very unlikely, stuff like that. And I wonder if like this is why they've known that was going to leave for a while now.
Well, obviously, it's
music.
It's not a brand new song, as in Sophus had already composed it, right? And then you go through the stages of actually like refining it and putting it in the game, and that's what they did after the fact. They just had it lying around, and I don't know. I don't know if the post really mentions why they didn't include it. I can imagine why though. It's because it's very different. I think it's just the use of that instrument is very outside of what DRG does. It still feels like a DRG track, but it didn't at first because of the. It didn't kind of feel like one at first because of the instruments used and because I hadn't heard it before. So it's like, this doesn't quite feel like deep rock, but it definitely does, just with a different spin on it, and it's pretty
I
beautiful.
think, there are songs in deep rock that are pretty undeep rock that get away with it, like the
Dance of the Dreadnought. What you're thinking of?
I don't think so. It's the extraction one with the drum. It's like the like
I never thought of that as not deep rock
it's not
inherently.
often that they pull out the snare drum.
You know what I should have done? I should have had the tier list like open, but then again, I'd have to actually to have this in. I'd have to be like make a whole tier list to include it. Also, that's not really that interesting. Anyway, honestly though, I was thinking about the fact that this is going to be in season 4 as well as the arcade music. Do you think they could get away with putting like in like the major patch notes like new music? Do you think?
It could be. I mean,
Not because obviously, if you go back to the 1.0 release, it in the patch notes it said Volume 2 soundtrack. That's not the same as just new music. It's just like we've got a new song and we've got some like remixed stuff for the arcade machine. You could make a point of that if you wanted to. I wouldn't blame them. I would. And also, just the new song itself is worth mentioning. It's just like we got a new song in the game, a new piece of music. It's completely justified, I think.
I think it's within the things they're currently doing right now, right? Where they're this is not entirely on topic, but they're doing all the gun patch notes. And stuff.
Speaking of which, I'm so like I'm constantly refreshing this page. I mean, I know it's never going to be like more than one like every couple of days, but even still, obviously, 28 minutes ago doesn't mean that it was recent. That means someone commented 28 minutes ago.
I think they're going to probably get like maybe one or two more, maybe.
I'm expecting one more, like towards the end, maybe rounding it all up.
It's interesting how it does at the moment. Just feel like they're basically doing everything they can, which is within like a reasonable territory. I think as much as this is definitely not that, this has probably been in the works for a while. They definitely would publish it as such. I imagine on the notes, like and new music and all this, and it's just I don't know. Hopefully, is a good in a good place in the game or something, right? Like I don't know. I think it's just good. It's another weird thing that they've done this season, which will spice up the future of the game.
Well, it's just they've been doing a lot of stuff sort of after the initial experimental launch. It's like it kind of just the season just keeps getting better since the initial reveal, I suppose. Which is good. I don't know what else to say. It's just good.
I don't know. I think he played an increment, not increment, instrumental.
Whoa, that's pretty.
Role.
That's pretty fun.
It's a bit of a pun, but also it's just that it is like if Mikkel was leaving, right? It's like the future of the game is slightly worrying. Like that quality that we always had 100% faith of is now not that, I would say. Because there is a statistical chance that the sound designing from there now on could be slightly worse.
Yeah, but it's like it's the reason why I would say it's not as significant as someone like Mikkel. Which I'm not to downplay this. I'm just I know because you brought this up. It's just like it's nowhere near as significant as something like Mikkel or Soren because they're the guys who would pick the next one, and as long as we still have them and their instincts, I'm sure they'll do everything they can to make sure it's as close to as good as it was before.
I mean, it didn't seem like they ever really picked him, did they? They probably just started with him.
Yeah, but they're going to have to pick one now.
Yeah, exactly. I am currently like looking at their team, and I'm trying to see if they maybe been like training someone since if it's been in for a while. If there's like a junior sound designer.
Yeah, it's like it's assistant or something.
I don't see anything in that regard. So yeah, they probably will be hiring. I mean, there is a jobs position. Let's see if there's a
All right, let's go on.
uh, sci-fi happy sound designer.
What?
Is currently a thing. So yeah, there is a sound designer job up there on their page.
I think we should apply. Just
No,
add
because that would
one.
guarantee that the sound design is shitty from then on. Because you'd
That-
have no idea.
what are you talking? There's nothing wrong with our sound.
Yeah, and there is also a cooperative senior game programmer. So if you do want to apply for anything, probably that one.
Yeah.
So if you're for some reason a really good high quality sound designer that is needing a job watching this video, go to the Ghost Ship Games site and just apply. And if you're
Please.
not that, don't bother.
You're no
You
good.
wouldn't,
Just don't
you
bother.
wouldn't want to be the reason why everyone shits on Deep Rock because you're doing a terrible job making the audio sound good.
I mean, I'm going to be pretty hyper observant of this from now on, though. The next season, I'm going to be focusing on sound design more than anything. It's just because I would know that it wouldn't be overall Ghost Ship's fault. I mean, not that I ever want to bully someone, but I would be interested in where it goes from here. I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that, and if it's bad, I'm going to call them out for it. If it's bad in comparison.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on from now on. But yeah, I don't know. It's a shame, but also what you're going to do. It's not like everyone's going to work on everything forever.
I mean, he's been there for 6 years, like they said. And I imagine tomorrow, Mikkel and Soren leaving.
That's a different.
Well, that'd be it's over then. That's good. That's what I mean. Either way, we're done here. So thank you so much, Troels, Mr. Jorgensen. Yeah, I can say Jorgensen. You are a master of the craft, and hopefully, well, your work's going to stick around, and you will be missed, good sir.
Yeah. And thanks for the swan song.
I didn't hear any swans in it.
Shut up.
Okay.